All right. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Silicon Valley. My name is Nida Atshan, Senior Program Manager with TechWadi. We are excited to present today our seventh edition of the webinar series. And this is the first webinar that we are doing as a partnership with Abana, based in New York City. They're formerly known as the Arab Bankers Association of North America. We are really excited to be partners with Abana and continue these webinars with them moving forward. I would also like to thank all of our viewing partners and welcome everyone from the Crib in Dubai, Sanad, Afkar, Gaza Sky Geeks, Leaders, Abana, yes, all of our partners. I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar. So the topic for today is embrace the online video space. And our speaker, who I'm so honored to present, is Tariq Shalabi. Tariq is the co-founder and CEO of Mintrix, which is a Facebook video analytics startup, and he's also the partner at The Planet, which is a digital creative agency out in Cairo. We're very, very excited to have Tariq with us today. Please do not forget to send all of your questions to us so that we can share them live with Tariq. We would like for this webinar to be engaging and make sure to get everyone's questions out there. Our Twitter handle is @techwadi.org, and feel free to use the hashtag TW Webinar Series. We are going to be live tweeting throughout the webinar and checking the hashtag for all of your questions coming in. So with that, I will pass it on to Tariq for his incredible presentation that we're all excited for. Thanks, Tariq.
Hey, no pressure, huh? Thanks, Nida. Thank you very much for the intro. Hey, everyone. It's pretty exciting stuff going on here. So yeah, like Nida was saying, I'm from Cairo, Egypt, born and raised. I'm working with Mintrix, so I'm very involved with video analytics because for a few years I've been working with video content out of Cairo, and we all know that all the talent and the amazing work comes out of Cairo. No bias here. So anyway, I want to talk to you guys today about the video space. Now, I don't want this to be just me talking nonstop, so if you guys can go ahead, send over your questions, interrupt me in any way possible, and yeah, and let's make this a dialogue. It'll be a lot more interesting. All right, so let's do this. Let me share my screen here. Here we go. There you go. Can you guys see the presentation now?
Yes, we can.
All right. And when I do it full screen, actually, let me go back a second. Sorry about that. I think I'm better off sharing it, sharing the entire desktop. This way I can take it full screen, which looks a lot cooler, I think.
All right.
All right, here we go. So there you go. You guys can see it full screen now, right?
Now
so this is it.
I said now we can, yes.
Okay, cool. So embrace the online video space. Now, there's a lot to talk about here. We might not be able to go into all the details, but if you guys ask me, we can go into any details you guys are looking for. The idea here is to explore what's going on, where things are going, and this should be very interesting for those involved in marketing, any entrepreneurs or investors, anyone working in the field or interested in the space to do with digital video, because that's going to be huge. And you might notice a small hashtag that is very subtly tucked away in the top left corner. We'll get to that in the final slide. Anyway, so let me start with this slide right here. So why would we watch videos passively? Like for decades now, this whole idea of TV has been in complete control of our lives, right? I mean, you're just supposed to sit back on the couch or the sofa and just watch these programs or whatever the channel chooses to show to you. And that worked for a while, but obviously with the internet, and not just that, but the cheap ways in which you can store videos and display them, and the fast speeds that allow you to stream videos without having to download them like we used to do back in the day, it makes much more sense now that content is much more democratized. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a democracy by any means, but it's much, much better than how we used to have to deal with TV and whatnot. So that's why I'm saying we're naturally wired to create content from each other and consume it from one another. Because the whole idea is content is from human to human, right? It's not an algorithm. It's not something that's automated. The thing about it is that it's actually something that is, if you will, very human, very personal. right? So that's where it's at. So I want to talk about why videos in general are hot. Online videos are hot. But before I get into that, this picture right here is from a food cart that does amazing fava beans and really good breakfast in my neighborhood in Cairo at Syria Street. So if you guys ever go to Cairo, go to Syria Street by Shihab Street. This guy right here makes really good food, really good beans. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, a couple of numbers. I didn't want to put like a whole bunch of numbers. It's not really important to go through all these stats, but there's a couple of numbers to keep in mind. 55% of all consumer internet traffic is video. Did you know that? I mean, a lot of effort goes into text and photos when video is the biggest type of traffic, or the biggest thing that attracts traffic. A third of the people on the internet are on YouTube. If you go to the YouTube page, they have like a section where they talk about how amazing they are, and one of the things they tell you is that a third of the people on the internet are on YouTube, which I think is pretty amazing. Facebook receives over 8 billion daily views. Now get that. This was about a year ago, or over a year ago, when Facebook announced that they now receive 8 billion daily views. I'm sure this number is either doubled or tripled, but they just didn't announce it. You know, they're not very organized, and they're a little all over the place. YouTube on mobile alone reaches youth more than cable TV. Now think about that for a second. You have a pretty cool video, it goes on mobile, people get to watch it, and you've reached them better than you would have had you paid the millions to make it a cable TV. So I think this is pretty big stuff. So basically, in conclusion, video content is from the people to people, and it cannot be automated. It is something, and people into data get carried away and keep saying, like, what's the algorithm? How do you get a video that works? Well, there's a lot of aspects that you can think of, but it's not an algorithm. It's not automated. It's very human, and it's people creating something, a message that is later portrayed and displayed to other people, for other people to consume. So you look at the types of videos online, right? I mean, you guys know, I mean, we all consume videos all the day, every day, right? So there's music videos, there's series, commercials, shows, documentaries, animated infographics, live coverage. These are all types of video and video content that appears, that it could be anywhere online. So it's a very flexible medium. You do get some advantages in photos and text, but you never get advantages there that wouldn't exist in video. Maybe a GIF GIFs are pretty cool, and they've become more popular recently, but still video is just powerful. The idea of audio and motion picture and all different types and lengths is just incredible. So it's the most flexible medium, that's definitely true, and it's also the most effective. So when you talk about marketing, the most effective way of marketing has always been video marketing, if you will. So yeah, now on to self-hosted videos. This right here, by the way, is a Kebab Iskandar from Istanbul. A really, really good place. Can't remember the name of the place, but it's like the most popular place that does Kebab Iskandar. Highly recommended in Istanbul. All right, so let's go on self-hosted videos. So let me go back a second and see if I can get the camera on me a second to explain this whole thing here. I guess you guys can see me now, right? So the idea of self-hosted videos is that you have your platform, right? You have your own website, just to put it in very basic terms, and you put videos on that website. And it seems like it's pretty straightforward. It's like, yeah, I can create a blog and put photos on the blog, but it's actually a pretty big deal. Here, it means that you host your own videos. That means you need a lot of servers, you need a lot of hard drive, whatnot, and then you need the technology that lets people stream this video. And I don't want to go into all the details, but just so you have an idea, it means that you upload a very high-quality version of the video, right? And then you have the technology that kind of cuts it up into these different resolutions, the different sizes, and then when a user logs in and accesses the website, the player shows up. So you need a player because you're not using YouTube or whatever. So you need your own player, and then you can start watching the video. It automatically understands which speed is best for you, which resolution better adapts to your internet speed, and then it plays it for you, and then it pauses. It's a pretty complicated process, and it's pretty expensive, but it's a pretty cool thing to own, a video platform. So yeah, so let's go back. I just wanted to tell you guys about this anyway. So going back to the desktop here, I think we can just leave it at that. I don't need to make this full screen, I think. So you own the videos, the player, the community, and the money. It's really important to talk about the community here because The whole idea online, the best way to make money online is to have a group of people who have a lot of similarities between them, and then advertise or sell their data or access to them to a sponsor who will then have targeted ads. Like, that's the most effective way to make money. So if you can group together people of a certain age or demographic or interest or something like that, or maybe a geographical location that are in one place, right, and you have them there, then you can go to the sponsor who is interested in reaching out to this particular group of people, and they'd be willing to pay a premium because it saves them the hassle of reaching a lot of people who are not relevant to their product or service. And they'd be willing to pay that just to get on. So basically, when you own your own platform, you're hosting your own videos, you have your own community, then you can reach out to sponsors yourself and sell them and sell them access to your community, right? So yeah, just the advantages is that you own the rights. You get detailed analytics. Now, of course, if these videos are on your website, you know every single detail. We'll talk about analytics later when we go look at Facebook analytics, and then look at YouTube, and if there's time, we'll look at Mintrix as well. The idea is that when you have more details, there's a lot more you can do. It's much more powerful, right? If you just have the basic, oh, I got this number of views or whatever, without knowing who or what or where or how, it's not cool. It actually sucks. You can integrate sponsors freely. You can do whatever they want. Whatever you want. You can come up with different ways in which sponsors appear in your videos. You can have more than one sponsor in the same video. You can do anything. And this is the freedom that you wouldn't get if you're working with YouTube, for example. Coincidentally, you'd get that freedom in Facebook, but I don't expect it to stay like that for long. But we'll talk about Facebook in a minute. Am I doing it right, guys? Going too fast?
No, you're doing well. Can you just full screen your slides, please?
Okay. عشان خاطرك انت بس يا ندى.
تسلم.
Here we go. So the problem is that it's extremely expensive to start your own website and host your own videos. To put it in basic terms, I mean, I'm very familiar with the market in the Middle East or in the Arab world. I don't like the word Middle East. In the Arab world, right? So in Egypt and in the Gulf and whatnot. And I can tell you that if you want to start a platform and have your own videos and get a community and whatnot, you probably need more than $1 million to put something together that is worthwhile, where you have your own shows and you have your own platform and you've developed it yourself and you have ads that reach out to people and you have a community with people signing up and consuming your videos, and then you set up a team so that you can actually start approaching sponsors. It's at least $1 million in the region. It's much more expensive in other places where it's more like in the US, for example. So I'm talking about Egypt, for example, which is a very big market and it's a relatively cheap market to work in. So you need a lot of money to start. It's a complicated operation to maintain. I mean, you remember that if you're on YouTube, for example, which we'll get to in a minute, you don't have to think about anything. I mean, YouTube does everything. You just stick to the knitting, like we say. So in this case, you got to do everything from the player to the rendering to breaking up and hosting those videos to the streaming and everything, and getting the community, reaching out to sponsors, maintaining the actual website, doing all the marketing. So it's a pretty big and complicated operation. And it takes months to show results. I mean, you do that, you spend a couple of $1 million, you spend a few months working on this, like maybe 6 months to a year, and it takes you a while before you start seeing the results. So I think, to put it down in basic terms, if your pocket's deep enough, this is a gold mine. This is something everyone fights for. The idea that you can create your own content, host it yourself, and keep all the revenue that comes out of it to yourself is great, and there's a lot of need for video content, and the people are waiting eagerly to consume it, but it is very expensive.
So Tariq, I'm curious to know a little more about the point that you just made, that it's more expensive to start a video platform in the Arab world versus here in the US. You would think that it would actually cost less to start it in the region. Now, so why is that? Can you explain that a bit more?
I think you might have misunderstood me, or I might have said it wrong. It's cheaper in the Arab world than it is in the US.
Okay, that's what I assumed. All right, so maybe I misheard that.
So think about it, like the Arab world, the Sub-Saharan Africa, Latin America, like these are places where there aren't a lot of people competing to reach to these countries and markets. The thing about it, though, is that Egypt is a massive market. You have 30 million people on Facebook and a really large young population on the internet, and they're really hungry for video content. So basically, it's cheap and at the same time it's rewarding. Maybe in sub-Saharan Africa, which is a market I'm not aware of at all, but hopefully if someone knows, they can fill us in. It's cheap to get to the people, but then you might not have a lot of people consuming video content like you would in the Arab world.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
بس أي خدمة والله يعني.
Thank you.
All right, so some of the examples here, you guys know these inside out. There's Netflix. So what Netflix does is basically, so yeah, y'all know the story, right? Maybe some of you aren't old enough to remember renting VHS from Netflix, and maybe some of you aren't even old enough to remember renting DVDs. But anyway, Netflix just kept pivoting until they had what is essentially just a website, and they buy a whole bunch of shows, put them on there. You pay a subscription to watch these shows. They own everything from start to finish, but they're making their money from subscriptions, right? So that's a different revenue model from Hulu, which we'll get to in a second. The thing about Netflix, though, is that at one point they're like, shit, I mean, we got all this. We could be huge. Why the hell do we keep buying other people's content? It's about time we produced our own show. And I think House of Cards was the first one they produced. And that became an exclusive show. And then more and more shows are exclusive. So then you actually go to Netflix, not just because you get access to your favorite shows, but also because you get to watch the shows that are only available on Netflix because they're made by them. Now that's massive. Okay, so then they're now controlling the funnel, what we call the funnel. So from the time a person arrives until the person leaves your website, they own every step along the way. Like they're like the McDonald's for video content. So that's pretty powerful. Hulu does that, but it relies a lot more on ads as well. I mean, they still have paid subscription, but they integrate sponsors, so they manage sponsors themselves. Those are known ones. Now I put a couple of that you're probably not aware of. AlTV.com is one that's in Egypt. We help set it up. They were our clients at the agency for a while until we got them up and running. Now, what they are is a website you go to, and if you check it out, it's just actually. Let me open it just real quick so you guys can see what it's like. As an example of those in the different markets, but basically, it's all in Arabic, obviously, because it's targeting the Arab world. It's targeting Egypt primarily, the Egyptian youth, and they've got all sorts of shows. Some of these shows a lot of them are bought, so they buy the rights to it, but there's a bunch of them that they actually produce themselves, like these shows. We actually produced some shows with them as well, like Disha Freestyle and Fatma. We did those, and basically the idea here is that they're low production videos, so in a place like Cairo in Egypt, you have a lot of talent, and at the same time, it's cheap to produce episodes. So you can get a show and put a season, like 10 episodes or 12 episodes of a season for a show, and only pay like $1,000 per episode for everything included. So you have some money, you're going to buy a whole bunch of those, produce a whole bunch of those, own them 100%, and then start reaching out to sponsors and whatnot. Like LTV, there's a whole bunch in different places. I'm not aware of the majority because they're very local, mind you. Like Netflix is very global, but the way LTV works, it's very local, and then they would want to do the same in other markets. Shahid.net, you might have heard of. The people in Dubai and the Gulf know them because it's the part of the NBC network. They're a massive TV channel, and then they created an online portal that was supposed to just put videos that they have on TV online, and then it started developing into having its own content, and then people like a revenue model or whatnot. So that's actually a pretty cool example. Movie Pigs, they're cool. Perihan Abu Zaid, the founder, is a startup. It's Boston-based, but she's Egyptian. It's really cool startup for like targeting the diaspora in the U.S. So there you go. So you have video platforms that are very actually targeted, if you will. So Arabs and whatever immigrants and whatnot and foreigners in the U.S. can watch content from their hometown using this platform, and they pay a monthly subscription. So in this case, Movie Pigs does not produce its own content, but what they do is that they buy license to content and they put it, and they own the rest of the process. So they don't own the entire process, but they own most of it. But that's how Netflix started until Netflix could afford to create its own shows, and I hope Movie Pigs goes in the same direction one day. And then there's Vice. Vice is big. We could talk about Vice a little bit more later, but the idea of Vice is that they have their own platform. It's really cool. It's localized. It goes. It's a whole bunch of languages and lots of different shows. So I'm right now in Switzerland. So as soon as you go in, it takes you to the Swiss the Swiss one, but here you got the Vice for all the different countries, right? So it's a massive operation. But what they did here is that they also have lots of content that goes around the video, so lots of cool articles and photos and whatnot, and they have a magazine, all these different topics. But you go to watch, and you start getting their shows right away, so the latest shows. You start watching them, these shows, they've produced them, and they put them on their website, and they own 100%. However, on social media, they still rely on social media to put content there. So it's not like you need to go to the website to see their stuff. You can see their stuff on Facebook and on YouTube as well.
So with all of these platforms, they all require a monthly subscription, so there's a cost to users?
Not necessarily. LTV is free. Shahid.net has a lot of free stuff. MoviePigs is, so some of them are paid and some of them aren't. So Hulu has free stuff, but especially LTV is all free. And Vice is 100% free. You can't even pay in Vice. So these are different models, right? So there's the one that's locked up, like Netflix, where you can't even see like what titles they have without actually paying. And there are others that are 100% open, like Vice.
So with the ones that are completely free, how do they make money? I mean, given that there's a cost for them to actually start their platforms and maintain them, how do they generate any kind of revenue?
That's a good question, Nida. Basically, there's a couple of ways to look at this here. Basically, they get sponsors, right? So there's one where you can make money out of the people. So you wanna make a few $1,000,000 and you divide them by a few 100,000 users, and every user pays $5 to $10 a month over the course of a year, and then you make your millions of dollars. So that's one way to do it, which is what Netflix is doing. Another way would be LTV, which they have, but haven't started monetizing yet. What they do is they have sponsors integrated into their videos. So they go to I don't know, a sports apparel, right? And they go, hey, we have a show that's about football, and all the people watching this show are between 18 to 23, and these are the things that they like, and these are their characteristics, and they can afford to buy your products. So how about we create a nice little video for you, integrate it in our video, so it's like a little commercial, a little TVC that's integrated into our episode, and we call you the main sponsor, and you pay us, you know, a couple $100,000 for the year. So then the sponsor would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, like, sorry. I mean, if I have this money and I spend it outdoors, it'll cost a lot. If I spend it on Facebook, it's okay, but I only get them to my page, and I don't have this really cool video content. But I have this really cool show, and this guy in the show is talking about my cool products that's super here integrated and it's super targeted. I'll pay a little more for that because I know that I'll get this money back with sales from the returns, right?
I see. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so let's go back to sharing here. All right, so these are the examples we talked about. There's a whole bunch. I'm sure some of you guys watching know of other examples that are cooler, and be cool if you can share them. This one right here. So I want to talk about social video platforms. This was in London, in Angel, a really good burger place whose name I can't remember, but it's just like right next to Angel YouTube, tube station. Really cool. Anyway, so we get to this right here. So one of the major social networks, so what happens with social networks is that you get like a big guy, right? You get the Googles and the Facebooks and all these big networks. And what they do is they create this major social network. So there were dozens, or no, there were hundreds of social networks 10 years ago. The majority of them died, and now there's just one, Facebook, and then you got like maybe 7 or 8 that are kind of there, but not really. But the majority were there and they died. So they were all fighting to create a community. Facebook succeeded in creating a community, and then what it does is that it integrates a player, and by player I mean a video player. So like when you watch a YouTube video, it's a player. You watch a Facebook video, it's inside a player. Having a player is not a given. You have to build one, and has to be. It's a little sophisticated. It's a bit of a hor, like we say in Egyptian. So you get the player, and then you provide analytics. You don't have to give all the analytics. In fact, you probably only give like 10% of the analytics you got. Just give it a little bit, just so people know what's going on. And then you give access for people to plug in the content. So you just create the content, and you'll be up and running today. So if you wanted to create your own platform, it would take you easily, a couple of months to get up and running, right? But if all you wanted to do is create really cool videos, then just go create videos. And you'll put them on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, whatever it is, but you'll have places to place these videos, but you just need to create the content. So what these people are saying is, forget the advertising, the technicalities, the hosting, the costs, the marketing, the community. the analytics, all these things we'll handle. You just give us content, and we'll hook you up, right? So there's a lot of advantages to that. So the community is there waiting to consume content. That is very true of Egyptians. There's 30 million Egyptians on YouTube, on Facebook, and we spend more time on Facebook than any other country on the planet. True story. So basically, we just want to consume content, and that's the case with the Gulf. It's the case in the U.S. Maybe not so much in Europe, in Western Central Europe, where I am right now. But the fact of the matter is that people generally are just dying to watch videos. Hosting is free, works for everyone everywhere, so it's automatically on the go. You can watch it on your cell phone. So if I put a video up on YouTube, I'm not going to worry about someone in some country not being able to watch my video. But if I'm hosting it myself, I'm worried that if my space runs out, or if something happens to my network, or something, or the player is buggy, or some problem happens, the person can't watch my video. So that sucks. But here, you know, it's gonna work. Sometimes you can choose who to reach. That's the case with Facebook. It's also the case kind of with YouTube, and I'll talk about that later. Usually deal with sponsors on your behalf. So YouTube does, hey, you know, just create the content. We'll show up some ads. Like, don't worry about it. We know which ads to show. We'll pay you money at the end of each month. Just focus on the video. And like we say in Egypt, we say "Sib al-aish li-khabbazu," which means leave the bread to the baker. Stick to the knitting, basically. I mean, you're not supposed to be developing platforms and, you know, and getting into technicalities and looking at marketing and whatnot. You're creating content, right? You're creating a message from human to human, really cool stuff, lots of, you know, colors and emotions and thoughts invested. Forget everything else and leave the bread to the baker. So the problem is that you always pay to reach your audience, and this isn't your platform. So on Facebook, you keep paying so that your video reaches people. And then you say, but it's all right because after I pay, these people actually become fans on my page. Yeah, but it's Facebook's page. It's not your page. It's your page on Facebook. It's not like you have your own website and you're spending, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars on online ads, and all this money goes into getting people subscribed to your platform. No, you're just getting people on Facebook and on your page on Facebook. So it's not a long-term investment. It actually sucks. I mean, they suck the blood out of you, those Facebook and YouTube people. Restrictions on revenue generation, and you can only take a piece of the pie. That's particularly true with YouTube. I mean, they take like 45% to 50% of the revenue. So they, you know, for every dollar that they make thanks to your content, they take half of it. That's bullshit. I mean, you'd understand if they take like 10 or 20% because they provided the technology and the platform and the community, but the fact that they take half of your money when you are everything, you are the content. There's millions of people who can create websites and create the technology, but there's only thousands of people who can create the type of content that makes money, the really cool content. Limited analytics, the platforms hogs the data. So that's what happens with Facebook, and especially the analytics that they give you is crap. But YouTube does a little better, but they know a lot more information. So you know how, like, you know, Big Brother and all that. But it's just like it's not about that. It's the fact that they collect a lot of data, but they only make a part of it available for you, which is not cool because you want to know more details. Like the basic piece of information I'll tell you here is that on Facebook you don't know how many people watch your video on mobile. I mean, you would on YouTube, but on Facebook you wouldn't, and that's not cool. I mean, Facebook knows how many people were watching which part of the video when they were sending a certain text to their girlfriends. Like, they know, they have this information, but they don't even tell you how many people are on mobile. So that's kind of crap. So, but you get up and running, build a small audience before gaining independence. That's usually how people do it. So let's say you're the next Vice, right? So what you'll do is you'll keep creating really cool videos on Facebook and YouTube and whatnot, and then when you have a big enough audience and you have a bit of money, then you throw this money into building your website.com and migrating all the videos there and getting all the community there. And it's expensive, but what you did is, instead of spending a couple of $1 million up front, what you did is you're spending $3 to $4 million later on. And that could be a reasonable thing to do as well, because you postponed the decision to make such a big investment. But obviously, the people making the investment earlier are the ones who are going to reap all the benefits. So yeah, and these are the ones out there. I was going to say some examples, but actually there's nothing else out there, nothing significant. You got your Facebook, your YouTube, Snapchat. Jesus, that's hardcore. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Instagram, Vimeo, that's still there. I know a lot of people think it died. It kind of did, but it's kind of like the website still works. Dailymotion, back again. This was dead. Like Dailymotion was gone, and now they're like all excited to get people watching videos on the platform again. Twitter, I don't know if you guys have heard of Twitter. Twitter is a real failure, but it's still working. I guess people still use it, and so they have videos too. And then there's Vine. That's intentionally at the very bottom of that list. So sorry to belittle all these networks, but but anyway. So let's move on to Facebook videos. And this right here, my fellow listeners and comrades, is a Yemeni restaurant in Cairo, in Do'i, where I'm from in Cairo. There's a great, authentic Yemeni restaurant, and it's just like that. It's very, very real. It's cool. It's good, and it's called the Yemeni restaurant. It doesn't even have a name. Just say the Yemeni restaurant. People will take you there. So talk about Facebook videos. Lots to talk about here. This is where we have our entire startup based on. Mintrix runs on Facebook videos, or analyzes Facebook videos. So you appear in people's timeline. Now don't underestimate how massive this is. So you're on Facebook, you're watching a friend of yours say that he got married, another friend saying that she graduated, a family member saying that they're in this country or that country, and then a video pops up. That's massive. It's not like you're on a website and then it's showing you like Netflix, or it's showing a whole bunch of videos, and a lot of them aren't related, and it's all very cold. Facebook is very personal. Don't underestimate how amazing the algorithm for their timeline is. The fact that your feed tells you exactly what you want to see. I mean, I have like 1,300, 1,400 friends on Facebook, and like I hate half of them or 3/4 of them. And you know what? They never appear in my timeline. Facebook knows that I don't want to hear from these people. So Facebook shows you the stuff you want to see. So when there's a video tucked in the middle there, it's a context that is very encouraging for you to consume it, and it's huge. There's also the organic and paid reach. So the idea is that you create a video. Now, just in case you don't know, organic reach means your video reaches people, so people get to see your video without you paying any money. And paid reach is when you pay to choose where the video goes, and then you get a lot of people having to watch your video because it appears on their timeline. So back in the day, I mean, we've been working with this for years, and back in the day there used to be a lot of organic reach, and it was great, and it was always like, oh, how many people can you reach without paying any money? And it was always a competition. But now we all know the answer to that. It's zero. Facebook is so cluttered with pages and content and people competing for limited space that it's those who pay who appear, and it's not only that, it's those who pay the most who appear, which makes it much more difficult for small independent content creators to appear on people's timelines like it was back in the day. 6 years ago, 8 years ago, it was really easy to create really cool content and appear on people's timelines because there was very little competition. But now, all of these big, old, fat men in suits who are just don't know what the hell they're talking about are outspending us all. So basically, it's their content that appears on people's timelines as opposed to ours. It doesn't mean it's impossible to reach. This isn't TV. It just means it's a lot more difficult, a lot less likely. And you know what? It's just when it comes down to it, it's more expensive. But there's top-notch engagement. Engagement is cool. Like with Facebook, you throw the videos on Facebook, and you get all sorts of the comments and likes and shares. And we all take that for granted, but it's actually a pretty big deal. I mean, you look at YouTube. YouTube engagement is crap. You look at all the other platforms that don't even have that sort of engagement, like Snapchat or whatever. You look at the blogs. Back in the day when we used to have blogs, people used to comment, but there's nothing they can do, and there was an easy way to share and to have these conversations. But with Facebook, it's so easy to get conversations around your content, and people can share your video on their page, and then someone else will like that and ask them a question, and then they reply, and then they get into a typical Facebook argument and fight, and then they start, getting involved in all sorts of ridiculous things. But it's just this engagement is very valuable, and you only get that on Facebook. That's the only place on the planet where so many people get together to engage. Detailed targeting. This is what makes Facebook really powerful. Is that when you have your video, you can choose not only video, any content, but in this case, just talking about video, you can choose you want to reach people from in this age bracket, or this particular age, in these particular areas around the earth, with these specific interests, who like these pages, who are married, who are Democrats or Republicans, who have an income background of X or Y. It's all these things that you can add to create a detailed audience. So therefore, you get an X number of people. Let's say you have 1.2 million people is your target audience that are exactly where you want them to be, in the exact age, like the things that you want them to like, and you think you're relevant, and are ready to watch your video. And so when you reach out to them, you might be paying a little more per head than you would compared to any of the mainstream ways of advertising, but you are reaching exactly the people you want to reach, and that's massive. That's what it comes down to. So detailed targeting is what makes Facebook the massive evil conglomerate it is. I mean, they just made $2 billion in clean cut cash after dodging a whole bunch of taxes. They just made $2 billion in the past 3 months alone, and that's because of their detailed targeting. YouTube, I mean Google in general, makes all of its money out of obviously the advertisement as well, but it's not targeted like Facebook's. So they have been making money for a lot of years, but now they're struggling compared to Facebook, because just Facebook nailed the targeting much more, because Facebook put a lot of effort into getting every single piece of information about us that they can, and then they take the information that's relevant to the advertisers and they make it available. I highly recommend you guys go to the audience tool on Facebook. Now the Facebook audience tool, it's really cool because it allows you to group people into different audiences, or like groups, and you can see how many people are of a certain demographic or certain characteristics that are relevant to you. So that's actually pretty powerful. We have the autoplay with short play videos. I mean, this is rolled out in most countries. I think here in Switzerland it's not rolled out yet, but any video on your timeline starts playing as soon as it appears, right? So that's an advantage and a disadvantage. It's an advantage because it's more likely to get people watching the video because it already started moving, and so they might just hang around for a couple of seconds, and then if they like it, they'll tap, and then the audio will kick in, and then they'll start watching the video full-fledged. But the disadvantage is that it really screws up the numbers, and so you find that you've got like 100,000 muted autoplay views make like 70,000 of them. So you actually only got 30,000, and a lot of these people dropped in the opening second, so you actually only got about 15,000 proper views, but your video says 100,000 and you're happy about it. That's why we've made Mintrix, by the way. Don't mean to pull in a PR stunt, but like Mintrix exposes all these things so that you know exactly how your video is performing and what numbers to believe and how to dig deeper. And then with short videos, it just keeps replaying. So when you put in one of those funny short videos, 6 seconds long or whatever, it just keeps playing and people watch it more than once. Obviously, it doesn't usually have any commercial or advertisement or any product, so it might not be very relevant to marketing, to video marketing, but it's definitely relevant to just video content in general and getting people to watch your stuff. Then you can share the video, like I was saying before. You got comments and discussion. There's no revenue share. Facebook, for the past 8 months, have announced that they announced secretly, but everyone knows it, that they're going to introduce a revenue share model whereby if you create content, people watch it, you get a bit of money so that they can get content creators living off of creating cool videos for Facebook, but they haven't done anything about that. But you can integrate sponsors like you wish. I mean, we've created shows on Facebook targeting the Egyptian market, and then we reached out to sponsors and got them to integrate their products. So we had a cooking show, and we had a big sponsor that creates all sorts of products like olive oil and stuff, and we started integrating the clients' products into our recipes and videos, and it went pretty well, and they got really good exposure, and we made a good bit of money out of them, and Facebook gave us that freedom. But yeah, Facebook's evil. I don't want to give the wrong impression here. Desktop or mobile on the go, like we were saying, can watch it anywhere. It's short and timely content. That's where it's really good. Facebook is really powerful for videos that are short, that are time relevant. So basically, if a video comes out today about what happened yesterday in the Olympics, or what happened, in fact, this morning in the Olympics, and it's like a minute long, that's an ideal video for Facebook, and it appears on the timelines, and people share it and engage with it and interact, and all sort of things happen, and then it dies out, and that's it. As opposed to a YouTube video whereby it might take some time to appear, and by then it's not that relevant anymore. Because this video, you need to watch it like the day after, right? To be part of this conversation, for people to create memes and animated GIFs and to make jokes about it and whatnot. So you upload your videos to Facebook to reach people and engage with them. That's how I would summarize Facebook. So yeah, I'm always for people starting off on Facebook because it saves a lot of money. It's a really cool platform, but you should have your eyes on, first of all, using other platforms which you're going through, and ways to become independent and less dependent on Facebook. So yeah, these are some of the examples. I mean, you guys know these, but I want to show you AJ Plus. Oh my God, AJ Plus are so cool. Hold on, AJ Plus English. This is it. So
before we get into that, because there's a question specifically about choosing the right platform, which you've just touched upon. You know, you said it's always great to start off on Facebook, but there are lots of other great platforms out there, including, of course, YouTube, Vimeo. But even when you look at the difference between YouTube and Vimeo, Vimeo is more high resolution, better quality. So it's great when you're presenting a business, whereas YouTube, you can actually reach a lot of people. So the question is, how do you determine what is the right platform for you as a startup or as a business?
I think that's a very good question. I don't think anyone can answer this question confidently, and I think this is something this is a conversation that we'll just keep having, and it'll keep coming up. And there are always fights between people, but after we talk about Facebook, we're going to talk about YouTube, and they're going to pass by Snapchat, Instagram, and others. I'm running out of time a little bit, so I'm going to speed up a little. But once we see all those, you're going to start seeing that, first of all, you're going to need to rely on all of them, and second of all, there are certain things that determine which one is best for you, but the biggest decision is just very subjective. Because at the end of the day, we all know there's a lot of crowd on Facebook and on YouTube. So you make use of all of them, but then there's one platform that you focus more on. And in this case, I would always argue that if it's new, you start with Facebook, but if you already have a following, then YouTube is great. But we'll talk about that when I get to those slides.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, let's go back to this. I'm going to try to, because I realize we don't have much time left, but I'm just going to talk about AJ Plus because I love these guys. And what they did was, I'm sure you've seen their videos, 400,000 views, 200,000 views. They get millions of views, and they produce like dozens of videos every single day. And the thing about them is that they came up with the idea that, you know what, videos, we'll just put text on it so you can read it, and even if it's on mute, you know exactly what's going on. It's very easy to follow. We summarize very important topics in very little time. And so here, Kosovo's judo star. So this is, this is the news. You already know what it's about, and it's got 1 million views. And it starts autoplaying. I have autoplay stop it from my settings, but with other people it'd be autoplaying. And then once it autoplays, you can already follow the news. And they set the tone for all sorts of others that are following suit. So you got Business Insider copies them, and Huffington Post, and just a whole bunch. They're all copying AJ Plus. And obviously it's really cool, for example, for like Jeremy Corbyn, for example, a really cool guy running in England, Britain, in the UK. So this is even a politician who's relying on Facebook to reach out to the young audience because he has a lot of young followers. So Facebook is really good for him, and everything he does is very time sensitive and needs to reach out to the people ASAP. And then obviously there's Shakira, for example, who just keeps producing really cool content for Facebook. the NBA is massive. The biggest channels are AJ Plus and BuzzFeed and Tasty. Tasty belongs to BuzzFeed, and they're just really quick. And BuzzFeed is just, you know what it is, just quick, stupid videos that are kind of viral and funny. And Tasty is all about food and whatnot. But AJ Plus is amazing. It's something we should all study and learn from, I think. So I'll go through this quickly so we can get to the others. So with Facebook, you get page insights, but they're pretty shit actually. They don't give you any details, but it's enough to get you started. I'm not going to have time to take you through that interface, but you can always rely on the insights on the Facebook page to give you just very basic analytics for how your videos are doing. You have the ad manager. That's pretty cool. It tells you how your ad did and how much you paid and how many people it got to and how effective it was. So that's really important. But you want to pay attention to the retention graph. The retention graph is a graph that shows what percentage of the people are still watching at each point throughout the video. So you get to see how it starts at 100% and then it ends at like 5%. But it doesn't fall into a straight diagonal line. It kind of does a bit of an S-curve because you lose half of your people in the opening few seconds, you lose a quarter of your people in the last few seconds, and then the middle is kind of more stable. You want to look at the likes, comments, and shares because that's a real measure of a success of a video. And you want to look at muted views because it makes up a huge percentage of the videos when they're actually these views are irrelevant. Unless you're AJ Plus, whereby you don't need the audio for this video to be amazing. And if you have the audio, it's even better. So yeah, YouTube videos. This was a dish actually. My friend Sandro took me out dinner the other night, and we had it in Zurich. What was this called? The Zurich. The Zurich Schnitzel or so whatever. It's really cool. YouTube videos. Let me go through this real quick. You can search for everything and anything. You guys know this, right? You guys know that it's you can rely on YouTube to find it, and you can keep watching videos. So you get related videos that are really cool. You can search within Google. Now get this. So basically, you can never reach a Facebook video by searching Google, and it'd be really difficult to find it by searching Facebook. But YouTube, you just search for something on Google, and you might be looking for an article, and a video shows up. So that's pretty cool. Native app for YouTube videos, as opposed to Facebook, where it doesn't have a separate app for videos. You have to open the Facebook app, and then within there, browse and get to videos. So YouTube is much better for that. It has a very strong community of content creators. I realized how big that was when I was talking to different content creators, getting them on Mintrix and analyzing their videos and stuff. I realized that YouTube really pays a lot of attention to making the content creators happy and pleased and making a bit of money and having the support they need and giving them the exposure they need, when Facebook just completely ignores the people creating content and just looks at the money being made. But don't get me wrong, I mean, they're both equally evil. I don't want you to thinking that I'm defending one over the other. Subscribers, if you have subscribers on your YouTube channel, that means every time a video is released, you have a very high chance that all these subscribers are going to watch the videos. If you have fans on your page, every time you release a video, only 5 to 10% of them will get to watch it. So subscribers are massive. Page fans are not so page fans on Facebook are not so significant. They have a revenue sharing model. Like I said, they rip you off, take half your money. But it's still better than what you'd make elsewhere. They got real views. So when a Facebook video says it has 100,000 views, that's 100,000 views. When a YouTube video says 100,000 views, it's 100,000 views. When a Facebook video says 100,000 views, it's probably like 20,000 views. So that's why the numbers on Facebook are much more significant. Mind you, a view on Facebook starts at 3 seconds. So if a person watches a video for 3 seconds, that's a view. On YouTube, they don't say it, but it's probably around 30 seconds. And get this, on Facebook, it could be autoplay, and it could be muted, and it could be for 3 seconds. So you might be scrolling through your timeline, and you slow down just a little bit while the video autoplays and is mute, and then you just keep scrolling, and that counts as a view. But with YouTube, a view is a real view. It's ideal for long-form content. It's really good for content that people are going to search for over time. So if you have a documentary, sure, you're going to share it on Facebook, but YouTube is where it belongs because people are going to be searching for it later, and it's going to come up when people watch content that's related, as opposed to Facebook, where if they're watching content that's related a week later, they're never going to see this video. So it's the natural home of video made exclusively for content consumption. You don't go on YouTube to make friends or watch pool parties or gossip about celebrities. You go there to watch videos. So that's an advantage they have over Facebook. These are some of the coolest channels. We're not going to have time to check them out, but I just wanted to point out this German food reviews. German food reviews is awesome. It's these guys who are just lame. They're just lame Germans with like a really thick accent. We're doing this in English, and they review food in like really low quality, really slow, really boring, but people love it. And that's the kind of thing that could work on YouTube, where you could shoot a video with a cell phone. So they're holding like the burger in one hand, and then they're holding a cell phone in another, and they keep shooting this really shitty review, and people really like it, and they just keep watching it. And so it's a place where a lot of weird and different content can make it happen. There's also Sick Animation, which makes you feel like South Park is totally like made for 6-year-olds, because Sick Animation takes it to a whole new level. So it has a very powerful analytics. I was hoping I would take you through the YouTube analytics, but we're not going to have time for that. You guys can check it out. It's really cool. It gives you a lot more details than you get on Facebook, but still not all the details that YouTube has. It's free and it's powerful. You want to pay attention to real time. So YouTube tells you how many people are watching right now as we speak. Facebook doesn't. It tells you a revenue report. How much have you made in the past months? Which video got you money? What have you? Um, Audience retention. So how many people, not just do you retain them watching the video, but actually retain them on your channel watching one video after another. Traffic sources. Where do people come from? Facebook doesn't even tell you that. I mean, you don't know if they came from a different page, if they saw it on their timeline, if they can't get it from outside of Facebook. But here, people might have searched for it, and they might have seen it somewhere. Someone shared a link. It was embedded on a website. These are things that you find out from the traffic sources. Devices. I hope Facebook integrates that soon. So it tells you if people are watching on mobile or not, and you find out that, like in our case, 2/3 of our viewers are watching our videos on mobile. So Facebook Insights are crap. Okay, so I should have changed this sentence for YouTube. Apologies about that. I was kind of procrastinating here. All right, so moving on to Instagram. Now, go ahead, Nida.
I was wondering, is there a way to tell how many people who watched your video actually like bought your product, if that was the aim, if you're trying to sell something? Can you find that out through analytics?
Okay, so with Facebook, that's impossible. There is no way to find out. What you could do is you might have with the video a link, and then with that link, you give this link a unique parameter, like it looks like it's a unique link. So when people click on it, they go to your page, and then you have the Google Analytics set up on your page. Ironically, you need Google there to understand if Facebook converted. And Facebook creates something called a pixel. So you install this pixel on your website so it can give you more details, and then you can follow if people ended up going through the funnel and buying your product. However, this starts with a link underneath the video, but or like that comes along the video, but no one clicks on those links. And so they might watch a video and they might like what they see, but then they might go later to check something out, to check it out. Or they might actually like the page directly and become fans of the page, and that you can measure. But how someone went from a video, watching your video on Facebook, to buying the product, that is usually very difficult to track. Okay? On YouTube, it's different because you can have annotations, and if you have like a premium, if you have a better account or whatever, your annotations can be directly to sell a product, and it's on the video. It's not like elsewhere. It's not like a link underneath, right? So generally speaking, you can probably track a little better with YouTube. So, but generally speaking, there's no way to track 100%. But there are ways to find out if this got engagement, definitely. If this got following, for sure. If this converted to sales, possibly, but not 100%. Definitely not.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
And I do want to leave room for more questions, so if we can try to wrap it up soon.
Yeah, sure. I just want to talk about the last of the Mohicans here. Instagram. This was a lemon fish that I had here in Geneva, actually, and it's from the lake. It's fish from the lake. It's pretty good. Anyway, so Instagram is filters, right? Let's not fool ourselves. It's about filters, really, really cool filters. It's about locations. So when you you put a photo on Instagram, and I'm talking about photos here before I get to videos, you tap on the name of the venue, and then you see all the photos that came from that venue. And this is really cool. You got hashtags. So you got all these hashtags on Instagram. People are really obnoxious with their hashtags, and they put like 20 or 30 hashtags for every photo or video. And that's weak, but that's how you get a lot of people following, because there are a lot of people who follow or pay attention to hashtags. Anonymity, that's huge. Now, if you look at the Gulf, right? So the Arab Gulf, especially Saudi Arabia, you get a lot of people who are superhero conservative on the outside, but they're wild on the inside, right? But it's all superhero underground, and it's like, taboo. So what you do is you get a lot of people in the Gulf who will use Instagram more than Facebook, and the numbers show that there are more Instagram users in the Gulf than Facebook users. And the reason, I think, and this is me, just pulling this out of my ass, might not be 100% right, but because people appreciate that they can be 100% anonymous on Instagram. They could have just a photo that doesn't show who they are, and they have a name that doesn't represent who they are, and they have a description that's just broad, or they could have it all accurate but have it make it private. And you don't have to be on a personal, close relationship with someone to follow each other on Instagram. But on Facebook, it's a little personal, right? So that's why the anonymity gives a big advantage to Instagram. You can spread across Facebook and Twitter. Whenever you post anything to Instagram, you can just share it on each of those natively. You get a lot of fashionistas. Before Instagram ads kicked in, and those rolled out 6 months ago in Egypt. They were like these big fashionistas who you'd pay so that they could take a photo of your product and talk about it. They're like the influencers, and then they would get paid money for that. And now you can rely on them less because you can advertise and reach the people directly, because Instagram is leveraging Facebook's data, and that's how Facebook's having a bigger and bigger monopoly every day. You can advertise from within Facebook to Instagram. But the videos are underperforming. You look at any of the Instagram accounts, you'll see that they might get 1,000 likes on a photo, and they get very few likes on the video and very few views. And actually, Instagram, what they did is that they hid the number of likes that appears on a video and instead show the number of views, so that you can compare the number of views with the number of likes. So the number of views of a video with the number of likes of a photo. And that's obviously not a fair comparison, but they're being very smart about it because they know that their videos underperform and no one likes to watch videos on Instagram. So, but what they did is, so Facebook and Google tried to buy Snapchat a few months ago, and they got into a bit of a bidding war, and then Snapchat told them to go, what's the not dirty word here? Just, I'm not interested in your offer. So then Facebook decided, you know what? We're going to create a Snapchat feature inside Instagram. They created the stories. So as of last week, you can create snaps within Instagram, which is a huge threat for Snapchat, and it just makes Facebook bigger and more powerful. But we'll see how it's going to work. A lot of people adopted it right away. So basically, video is growing on Instagram thanks to the Stories feature, the stolen Snapchat feature. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, videos underperform. Okay, it's ideal for short content. It's very personal, and you just can't put a complicated message. It's nice, something that's quick and easy, right? But mainly Instagram is for beautiful videos.
That's so interesting. I remember when Instagram used to just be photos, and I was curious about, what their reason behind starting the videos was. And I mean, did that really increase their user base, or was there a different reason why they integrated videos?
Why they integrated videos is anyone's guess, but they integrated videos, if I remember correctly, is before Facebook bought them, but I might be wrong. So, but the idea is that they could actually sell video ads, and ads are much cooler when they're moving than if they're just, frozen photos. So I think they needed, if I were to guess, and I don't know, I think they wanted to have videos kick in so that they can sell video ads, and so they needed people to be using these videos. But just people never latched onto it. Videos never picked up. And then with the stories are picking up. I look at my Instagram and people are doing stories every day, like snaps on Instagram every day. So I think that might help change Instagram into an actual video platform, in which case the videos are going to be performing much better. But we'll find out.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, and what else we got here? So not much to go here. I'm just going to go through. Okay, so these are some of the big Instagram accounts. You probably know most of them. This guy right here, Murad Osman, is the guy who's Turkish of origin. I don't know if he's still Turkish or not. But anyway, all of his photos are of his girlfriend holding his hand and taking him somewhere. And they're from all over the world, and they're really, really cool. But he doesn't create any videos. But then you get other people who create videos, like Nike, for example. Nike, most of its content on Instagram is videos, but their photos perform much better. Finally, Snapchat. This is the last photo of the deck. So this is actually not a restaurant. This is my mom's cooking, and she's cooking some really good Egyptian food. There's fasolia, there's baked rice, which is my favorite Egyptian dish. There's vegetable soup, there's meat and sauce and sambusa. Really cool stuff. But anyway, Snapchat. So Snapchat broke every single rule in the book. So if you're going to start a new social network, right, and you're going to say, hey, I'm going to start this new social network, and I want to make it where people can very easily record videos, and then these videos stay there for like 24 hours, and then they can send these photos and videos to people, but as soon as people see it, it disappears. I'm like, that's stupid. You're just being stupid. It's a failure. It's not going to work. We're the experts in the field. However, it was huge. I mean, it is huge. And in the Gulf, where people really appreciate anonymity and like unfaithful husbands and wives really like doing these sort of like leveraging these platforms, they can actually use Snapchat. But now that Instagram is doing it, Snapchat is under a huge threat. It's very personal. It's anonymous. Tap and shoot. Tap and watch. The way it works, the UX of Snapchat, it just blows my mind because it's so different than anything. There's no menu. There's nothing to type in. All you do is swipe right, left, up, and down, and tap. And with that, you navigate everything to Snapchat. It takes you a while to get a hang of it, and you feel old and you feel out of touch, but once you do, it just comes naturally. And I think this is a massive feat that they were able to pull off. You don't worry about the presentation, everything's gone soon, so you don't have to, the video doesn't need to look any good. I mean, it's only going to be there for 24 hours, right? And if you send it to someone, you know, if you're sending private images or images that you wouldn't put publicly, that's going to be gone afterwards anyway, so you don't care. It's impossible to get followers and engage with them, and there's no way to get no people. There's no hashtags, there's no locations. All you can do is leverage the other social networks, so your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and tell people, hey, follow me on Snapchat. You don't know how many people are following you, just know how many people watch it. You don't know who are the people that are following you. There's no archive to build a reputation, so I can't go in and be like, hey, look at this person. This person has been creating a lot of video content for so long. That's really cool. You can't do that. You can just go and say, hey, look at what this person did today. This is cool because it means you have to keep being consistent, and it means that anyone who's just starting off can create content that competes. But if you don't have a following, it's very difficult to make a following. And it broke every rule and succeeded. So, except for resisting GAFA. Now, the GAFAs, the Google, Apple, Facebooks, and Amazon, those are those are the mafia, right, in control of the entire tech industry. So when they come approaching, and two of them want to buy you, and you push them off, you can end up dying, which is what might happen to Snapchat now that Instagram stole its feature. And that's it. That's the end of the presentation. I think I went a little overboard. Sorry about that. So yeah, just a few seconds of a PR stunt. Mintrix.com is our startup. We analyze Facebook videos, and you can go ahead and sign up for a free account. And it'd be really cool if you could get all your friends and loved ones to sign up as well. And this is right here. It's from I'm in Lausanne, but this is with love, with revolutionary love, with Jan 25 revolutionary love from Cairo. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tariq. We are running slightly over time, but not a problem. I do want to get in some questions. And for all of our viewing partners, feel free to chime in and ask directly, or you can just send it in the chat, and I'll make sure to send the message to Tariq. Now, I did get a couple of questions around sales, so I'm going to try to just group them all into one question. So what are some tools other than Mintrix, no more PR, that help measure sales that you get from your video? And another question was very similar, which is what are some important things to measure when you put something online, and how do you connect that to revenue or sales generation?
Okay, so if this is your website, right, myvideos.com, and you got a community, and you have your own player and your own content, you can measure every single detail, so you can follow people as soon as they land into your website, where they've clicked, where they've gone, and where they went on to buy a product or another, or to pay money for the service. You can do that. So Netflix has these details. But when you're talking about social networks, you're talking about YouTube and Facebook, no one is going to give better analytics than the people in charge of the platform itself. So Facebook, what they do is they give you crap analytics, but they make a strong API available for people like Mintrix to build something on it. But YouTube, what they've done is a different approach. And they've done is like what they've done with Google Analytics, which is provide a really cool analytics data. So nothing is going to analyze your YouTube videos better than YouTube Analytics. That does not exist. Having said that, you stick to those, right? And you start using URLs with the permalinks, which means you're creating new links every time that you're sharing. And then you try to use Google Analytics on your website to follow how people are going through this process. But like I said, at the end of the day, it is going to be rather limited. It's not going to give you all the details you're looking for.
Okay.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious to know a bit more about, these days live streaming videos, it's becoming huge. And there are companies like Periscope. I don't know if you've heard of Periscope.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Periscope is pretty awesome. You can, for anyone who doesn't know what Periscope is, it's owned by Twitter actually, and you can live stream your videos. So if you're traveling or doing something exciting, you can share that live with people who are not necessarily in your network. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, how are businesses using apps like Periscope? Are they using these sort of apps for their businesses? And if they're not, should they?
So live videos are very interesting. We used to use, we used live videos all the time with the revolution in Egypt and the uprising in 2011, and we were using things called Bamboozer, and there was Kick, and there was a bunch of services that we all used, but they all died out because they never got the funding and they never really got up and running, and they had a really crappy UI and stuff. So then Periscope was picked up by Twitter, so Twitter bought them, but they were their own thing first. And it makes sense that if you're tweeting about something, you're talking about what's going on right now. So live video fits right in. What Facebook did, okay, go back to Facebook, is that they launched their live video, and their live video is really getting a lot of attention. You get some really cool analytics on it. It pushes, if you have a live video, Facebook will give it priority. We'll give it a priority in the algorithm. It's going to show it up to people. And once it's done, it's a Facebook video that naturally gets a lot of reach and gets a lot of engagement. And so basically, I think it's a very powerful tool to leverage. However, I just think for brands, it's difficult to have live video unless you're working with events, with something that's happening. But if you're like, I don't know, if you're a fast food chain or if you're an apparel or whatever, like you're retail, you can try to do live videos, but it's just that I don't know if people are so excited about you that they're going to tune in at a certain time and watch your video. And that's why Facebook has a much bigger advantage than Twitter, because you see the video live, right? And then it stays there, and then people can engage with it. So it might have been a video that you just uploaded, but instead of uploading it, you're shooting it live. So you're using the live feature, and you're using the Facebook video feature. With Twitter, it's live, and then it's gone, and then it's like in some timeline, and then it's dead, and then no one sees it again, and it's gone. YouTube, for some odd reason, never really picked up on the live video feature. And what they did is that they made it, it's cool, but it's kind of more for political things, for like a big rally, for live events, for something like the Olympics opening, things like that. But they didn't make it so accessible and so easy for anyone to do live videos like Facebook did. Facebook, on your app, on your cell phone, you just do a live video. So Facebook is the best out of the three for live videos, in my opinion, for brands, but not all brands can leverage live video.
I see. Okay. So similar to Periscope, what future innovations do you see in the horizon with online video analytics?
That's a very interesting question. So I don't know if it's easy to answer. It's a good question. So basically, first of all, there's a lot of data that these people have about us, like Facebook and YouTube. They have a lot of our data. Facebook gives like 1% of this data in their insights, and it gives like 5% of it or 10% of it in the API. But they still have a lot of data. So they're going to keep rolling it out. It's just that they're lazy, they're disorganized, they're all over the place, but they'll roll it out. So I see a lot more analytics in there. But I think the cooler thing would be is to have analytics within the video and to take annotations to the next level. So YouTube has always had annotations, but they always looked like shit, and they never worked, and no one cared about them. And the first thing you do when you get to a video is you want to turn off those annotations so you don't see this really ugly red bubble that says subscribe, like with 16 exclamation points. But I think Facebook are going to be smarter about with how they integrate these I guess they're going to call them hotspots or annotations, in which case they can start having what you were asking about earlier, whereby if you click, you go straight to a shopping cart somewhere, and then with the Facebook pixel, you can track who that person is and what they did, which means you get the entire funnel of watching the video to getting sales. Knowing how Facebook only cares about money and nothing else, that's probably what they're going to do, and I expect that, basically.
All right. Okay. Oh man, I wish I can get in all the questions, but I'm probably just going to ask one or two more questions. This is a good one. What resources do you recommend for someone who wants to learn more about Facebook analytics, or for entrepreneurs who want to learn how to do it themselves?
Okay, so good question. The Facebook analytics, just get in there. Like go to a page, go to Insights. Go to videos, and you'll see it all there. They're just like 15 metrics. You'll be done in 5 minutes. It's crap, but you'll understand exactly what it's like, right? And then when you click on any video on Facebook, you get to see, you get this overlay that shows you how many likes, comments, and shares it got directly or indirectly. And you can see that, and you get to understand how that works. Now, the Facebook API, we're working with that every day, and it's hell because they're very disorganized. They don't know what they're doing. They got like all sorts of spelling mistakes in there, and it's like disorganized and whatnot. However, what you need to do is Facebook has a cool tool where you can test the API. So you go there and you just run a test. You put a video ID or you put an ID of a user, and then it gives you a JSON response. It gives you the, like, not to get into too much detail, but it's like you're talking to the API and you say, hey API, give me the information about this video. So the API returns with a lot of details, and you can go through it and you can see what all this is. It's a little difficult to decipher, but then you get the hang of it. So you just got to work with the API and test it out. Just search for the Facebook API testing tool. I can't remember what it's called. And look at the insights yourself. So that's for Facebook. For YouTube, if you go to the Creator Studio and then you go to Analytics, they have it pretty well organized. They freaked out when Facebook picked up on their videos, so they improved their interface. And then you can see all the charts, and it takes a while to get a hold of it, but then you get it. Otherwise, I think you just need to be searching some LinkedIn. I mean, we wrote a bunch of articles on LinkedIn. We answered a couple of questions on Quora. Things like that. We have a blog now that we talk about these things on. So you might find, I think there was Wistia, who have a good blog on videos, and you know, we have a good blog as well. I mean, it's a blog that's up and coming, and there's a whole bunch of others. You're just going to keep searching for it, I think.
Great. Thank you so much, Tariq. I think this is a good way to conclude the webinar. For anyone who didn't get to ask their question, or if I wasn't able to do that, please send it to us directly at either our Twitter or Facebook or info@taqwadi.org, and we'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. And also, Tariq, if you would provide your slides, we'll definitely share them online for anyone who's interested. This webinar will also be shared on our YouTube channel for those who didn't tune in live. And I apologize for going slightly over for all of our live viewers. Welcome again to Abana. We are looking forward to having you with us moving forward. So thanks, Tariq. And if anyone needs food recommendations, Tariq. All right.
Thanks, Nida.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Yalla, salam. Take it easy. Salam.
Bye.
Bye.